Hello, I'm State Representative Rosemary Brown, and welcome to the Legislative Report. I am joined with the Monroe County Waste Authority. We have Jim Lambert, who's the Executive Director, and Jackie, we say Jackie, but it's Jacqueline, really.
Yes.
Bagu, right?
Yes.
And Jackie, you do a lot of the inspecting and a lot of the enforcement as well with the Waste Authority, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But we're really glad to have you here. One of the reasons I decided to do this show was to educate people on what the Waste Authority, who you are, first of all, and we just assume sometimes people know what you are and what you do, but I think it's a good chance for people to really learn about you, to learn about some of the obstacles that you have, some of the initiatives that you have, and some of the things that you're doing that really are making a difference, and how difficult it can be sometimes as well.
Right.
So where do we start, right, is the question. Jim, we'll let you start first.
I'll be glad to.
And tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what the Monroe County Waste Authority is.
Well, I'm the executive director. I've been in solid waste business either on the private side or public side for a long time, 20-some years. The resident expert on trash. There's a lot more to know about trash than most people would ever even dream of. You know, something I always joke about is that I love to talk trash, and I'm a trash talker forever.
And I love that part.
Yeah, and I usually start out my little discussions about that. But you know, our agency is responsible for what they call the Act 101 responsibilities for the county. The legislature passed in 1989 the Responsibility Act, making counties responsible for disposal of waste in each county. So the counties have to plan in 10-year segments for their waste disposal. So the County of Monroe contracted with the Waste Authority and created the Waste Authority to do their planning responsibilities for them. So what we generally do is make sure that the citizenry, whether it be residents, businesses in Monroe County, has a place for their waste. So there are no landfills in Monroe County. You know, there's the soil and the space areas are just not, you know, an area where you would want a landfill. It's a beautiful county. We have beautiful rivers and streams and game lands, and imagine a landfill being in it. But there are nearby landfills right now. So what we do is we contract with waste facilities for our waste. We just recently completed our 10-year plan, which gives us another 10 years of capacity. Something that we did differently that hasn't been done in Pennsylvania is that we went out and actually procured space in a landfill through competitive bid. So the authority for the county citizens own space in 2 landfills that will guarantee us a home for our waste for 10 years at very, very affordable prices. The current cost for disposals is somewhere between $70 and $80 a ton, sometimes higher, depending on how much waste you generate. We're going to be down in the 50s and 60s come next year when our new contracts kick in. So we're going to save approximately about $30 a ton for disposal. And when you go to a landfill, that's how they weigh it. It's by ton. You know, homeowners generate pounds, but when it's all collected by your waste hauler, becomes tons of waste, and that's how it's disposed of.
And when you say, I mean, that's a great savings, especially, you know, looking forward, because, you know, nothing gets cheaper.
Right.
So, you know, you're getting cheaper when technically, you know, if you didn't do it now, it would probably be much more expensive, even in the 70 to 80. But when you talk trash and you talk about the amount of trash being, you know, in households and in the county, you know, with the growth that we've had, and we've kind of leveled off now, how much more waste have you had to deal with as far as the capacity in Monroe County? It has to have grown tremendously.
There was a huge increase, I'd say, 10 years ago, of course, with the growth.
Right,
and it has, with the economy, it has tapered off. We are in a growth mode. We are, I would say in 2007, 2008, we were generating 165,000 tons of waste a year. It went down as low as 120,000 with the recession. It's now up to about 135,000, 140,000 tons of waste a year. So it's a considerable amount of waste. Our neighboring counties have a lot less than that, less than half of that actually. Pike and Carbon are very low in what they generate compared to us.
Population.
Yeah, population
as well.
So it is growing. We are still, we're back on a growth community. Construction and demolition has decreased quite a bit over the last few years, but we're starting to see that increase as well. With the issues of foreclosure and those problems, illegal dumping is also on the rise, and we see that in litter. And Jackie, you and I will get into that a little bit more. But one of the things that on this next 10-year plan that is really good we think it's great for business and great for the county, is that not only is our rate going down next year, $30 a ton, but it stays flat, and it's reduced in 2024. It'll be lower than it is today. So that's great for the community. The next 10 years, we don't know. We don't know where our capacity will be. We don't know if there's going to be nearby capacity. And that's one of the reasons why in our plan we talk really heavy, and we do a lot of education about recycling, composting, ways to reduce our 160,000 tons of material a year down lower so we can preserve that landfill space.
Where are we, do you think, as a county, as far as that's concerned? And I can see that initiative, and the whole world is getting better with that. But, I don't know. Are we where we need to be as a county for that, or can we get a lot better?
Yeah, there's a lot more for growth.
A lot more improvement.
And there's reasons for that. There's infrastructure issues. If you were going to Allentown or Harrisburg, there's a whole lot of business enterprise that handles recycling. It's not as rural. It's not as residential. And it's when you get out into like Toby had it on Cannock Township, Polk, Price Township, you can travel a long time on a roadway and see one house, two houses. It's spread apart. There's a lot of challenges when you have such dense population. In the state law, if you're having a municipality with 10,000 or more, you're what they call a mandated municipality. So you're mandated to recycle, and you're mandated to have curbside collection of recyclables and waste. There's only 7 out of 20 mandated municipalities, so 13 out of the municipalities don't really have to by law. The county law requires it, municipal law requires it, but state law does not. And it's very expensive when you have dense populations. One of the things we do to supplement that is we have drop-off centers. We have several all over the county where people can bring their recyclables for free.
And that's always, and it's great. The biggest ones that we have in Monroe are 447.
Yes,
Right, the Analomic site,
Yes.
the DCNR site.
Right.
Yeah. Hundreds of visitors a day, hundreds, if not
Yes.
thousands of
Excellent.
visitors a day.
And it is great because they do. I've seen a lot of traffic through those, but that's still hard. It still doesn't make it as convenient for people because they have to put it in their car.
Right.
They have to really.
Right.
What you lose in convenience, you gain in cost.
Right.
And being that we're a very poor county, we talk about population, and the majority of the poverty level in this county is pretty high, and the education level is lower than what we would like it to be. So what happens is you have people that are struggling every day. This service is free. It gives them an opportunity where they may not be able to afford to have a waste hauler, because in majority of the county, residents have to pay for their own waste hauler, and that's kind of unusual. That also deters from the recycling. So when you're in a suburban area where the municipality's paying for its garbage collection, paying for recycling, the cooperation rate and the participation rate is a lot higher, so the success rate is a lot higher. The challenges are greater in this county, and so you have to work harder, we have to educate more, and we have to continue to try to educate people that illegal dumping and putting trash at those dump sites hurt everyone, especially the people that use it. Right. The Analomic site, people say, yeah, you should go there more often. We go there 2 times a day. We empty the recyclables twice a day, and we clean it twice a day, every single day.
They don't realize.
And people don't realize how often we're there. Yeah. But we need to, because it's so well used.
And it's good to hear, that people are utilizing it.
Yeah.
And like you said, and even when people are paying for their garbage pickup and everything, that also aids to the illegal dumping too. Because if there's a cost problem, it's the first thing to try to take out of their bills and go. What would you say for people watching if they're not recycling at home, and so maybe they would have to use one of the sites and bring it, what's the easiest way? And I know you do programs on this all the time to help educate, but what's the easiest way to say, this is the way you start? And it's a simple, low-cost method, something, 1 or 2 things you can say, start tomorrow and do it.
It's very simple. Cardboard, paper, and your food and beverage containers. All of them have value. We do programs that doesn't have value. We collect deer. you know as well, there's a lot of deer hit on the road. The authority took that over for the county several years ago because the county was very expensive to do. We took it over. We put that in our fees. The recycling covers our programs. So, you know, when you're recycling, not only are you saving cost and garbage, you're saving landfill space. There's a whole lot of environmental issues. I could do 28 minutes for you on the environmental aspects. But you know, forget about the environmental reasons for recycling, and there are many. The financial aspects. It costs $70 to $80 a ton to put it in a landfill. If you put it in a recycling bin, it's zero. So it saves and there's intangible cost. It saves money. But when you eat up that landfill space, and we have two fairly close to us right now, but when those landfills close, we have to go farther away. So the cost for transportation, and again, when you're having more transportation, you have more pollution, you have more trucks, you have more road damage. So the intangible costs are just always escalating. So it really makes so much sense to recycle in a lot of ways.
Can they get containers, you know, containers from you, or do they have to buy them out themselves? I mean, they do pretty much have to get their own containers and kind of do this, right?
Yes, but one of the things we do is the state offers through the Act 101 grant programs, and the authority works with municipalities to apply for these grants. One of the things we want to do, and we're trying very hard, is to get the communities to work with us to go out and apply for grants. And containers is one of the things that are allowed, especially a non-mandated municipality. That's a good item for them to get. It's pretty inexpensive. They can put the grant in, and we can assist them and apply for that. And hopefully, you know, that'll help residents to use their recycling and their can for recycling. There's a lot of recycling cans being used for trash cans. I go in schools and I see it. It drives me crazy. Those funds are designated for recycling, and people get grants for cans and they become trash cans, not recycling cans. That's one of my crazy things.
Right, right. Use it for the right
But again,
reason
that's another segment we could talk about. But recycling and initiatives to reduce what we generate is part of what the authority does through education and enforcement. It is a law to recycle in Monroe County. Every municipality has an ordinance. We don't enforce the local ordinance, but we do enforce the county ordinance, which allows us to issue penalties to commercial people that don't recycle. Now, this is kind of new in the new plan, so we haven't been out there writing tickets or giving summons. Our philosophy is and always has been education first for compliance. And when someone refuses to comply, then Jackie gets tough.
And that's a good point. We have to take a quick break, but that's a good stop and a lead-in to Jackie, who we will be hearing from in this next segment. But as we talk about enforcement and future and other things that you're doing as well. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the legislative report.
Did you know that Fort Indiantown Gap, located in Lebanon County, is home to Pennsylvania's only Veterans Memorial? C.J. Frederick of Westchester, Bucks County, submitted the winning design that now honors those men and women who have sacrificed their lives in defending this great country. Dedicated to the Commonwealth on October 7, 2001, the Veterans Memorial is surrounded by freestanding walls and houses an amphitheater, which can accommodate large crowds during an event. Strategically placed in the front of the amphitheater is a tomb that reminds visitors of those who gave their lives protecting the freedoms of this nation. The design suggests a war-damaged structure in which Frederick wanted to impress upon those visiting the horrific arena of war. Now you know.
Welcome back to the Legislative Report. I'm with Monroe County Waste Authority, Jackie, I always want to say Jacqueline because that's really her name, Jackie Bagoo, and Jim Lambert, the Executive Director. Thank you again. And we were just talking about the recycling and some of the enforcement measures with illegal dumping, so we're going to continue on.
Yes. Well, the system works when people throw their trash away. We want them to keep the recyclables because they're valuable, but it all works when we're doing things properly. The main purpose of the act that was passed by the legislature in 1989 was protection of the public and the environment. there are a lot of dangers that can come out of illegal dumping. First of all, landfills today are very modern. They're very safe. They capture the contaminant water in the landfill. When the waste is decomposing, there's gases that come out. Every landfill in Pennsylvania now under the legislature has to have methane collection systems, and they use that and they create energy from it. So these landfills today are very, very modern. They're very, very safe. They're not the landfills of the past.
Right.
But there are people that try to create their own landfills. Believe it or not, in this day and age, Jackie has been involved, and the Waste Authority has been involved with people creating their own dumps. There's also issues of homeowners not storing their waste properly, businesses not storing their waste properly. It causes unsightliness, it causes litter, it causes vector, rats, mosquitoes, bugs, disease.
Value depreciation,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, the value of your homes. You know, if you're trying to sell your home in this tough market, it makes it a lot tougher when a neighbor or someone nearby is piling up trash in their yard. There's smells, there's streams everywhere in this beautiful county, and you know, one of our jobs is to protect the environment, including the streams. And I don't know if you know, Jackie can get into some of the stories and some of the cases she's had, and they've been some of them are sad in a way, but to the extent that these folks are so busy. We get numerous calls every day. You know, from part of what they do is to make sure the waste haulers are doing what's right, but not only that, it's the people that you know, think it's okay to dump on the side of the road because they don't know where else to go. They can contact us. We'll tell them where to go. We'll help them where to go. There are inexpensive ways of getting rid of your waste, but you got to call us. You can't go out 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning and dump on the side of the road.
And that's such an important thing, because in my office we get so many calls on the fact of the litter and the roads and the appearance and what's happening and who's picking up litter, who's taking care of litter, and like you said, the vibrancy for the area.
Yeah.
So that's a great point, that if you are kind of stuck financially or there's a problem, you know, give a call and hopefully you can get the resources. But Jackie, what you do on a daily level, we've worked with you several times in the office. You've been great, and I know you're
you.
very, very busy. But what do you do? What are you up against all the time? And you know, give us some stories so that people
Well,
can
the
better
most important
understand.
thing I'd really like to emphasize on is that people don't seem to realize that the cost of a citation can be so much greater than it is actually to dispose of it properly. Fines with us are up to $1,000 with the county ordinance. So people should really consider, not only for obviously, you know, the fact that they're breaking the law and what it's doing to the environment, but that it can be so costly. You know, we try to educate people, as Jim mentioned, we try to educate people, have them comply first, but if they don't, unfortunately, that is the route we have to go. We've seen so many cases where people actually, they do want to, you know, they do want to comply. They need a little bit of education. You know, we've been on properties where they've had a few hundred bags of garbage that they had no idea what to do with. You know, we come along, whether it be by method of complaint, you know, anonymously, because we do get anonymous complaints, or, you know, somebody, a township representative or someone calls us, you know, we go out, we investigate, we try to get them to do the right thing. We try to help them. In some cases, as you may recall, we've actually step by step walked some folks through the process to try and get them to comply.
Anonymously, they can go to our website, get a little plug here for the Waste Authority, thewasteauthority.com, and they can contact us through there. There's an enforcement section. You go on there, and if you see something that's not, you think it's not proper, you can put it in through the website. Jackie will pull it down off her desktop, and then she'll do an investigation. We investigate generally within 24 hours of any complaint, and we do that with Deer. We are a service-oriented agency, and we pride ourselves in responding to every single complaint that we get.
And you know, and I'm with you, because I just think, you know, if you do see somebody, you know, I don't see it, but I see the garbage.
Right.
And I think if you do see somebody, or if somebody sees somebody and they get a license plate or they get something, you know, that's kind of hard probably with the license plate issue and going, but to respond and let you know if they see something illegally on the dumping or in the litter or the trash, because the area really does need that type of people looking out for it.
What we generally do in a case like that, I mean, I understand completely. I mean, especially from our point of view, people are afraid to, you know, witness or go forth with witnessing something in court. Most cases, they can remain anonymous with us if they file, you know, license plates through, like Jim said, either the website or contacting us, excuse me, directly. You know, again, we issue the citation, we'll go before the magistrate. You know, we try to explain the case, you know, as it happened. If we do need that witness to come forward, you know, in some cases you do, but other
Very rare.
cases, yeah, we may just be able to at least send the violator a letter, let them know, hey, we did see you, somebody saw you.
Somebody's watching.
Exactly. Don't do it again.
Our police department's compliance rate is very, very high. It's over 90%. So very rarely do we have non-compliance. So
Yes.
once we get out there, and Jackie and our other officers get out there, they communicate with the people, they educate them. And most of the time, it's compliance. Now, you know, when they're investigating an illegal dumping in the woods and they find evidence, there's no
Right.
way to get them to comply. At that
Exactly.
point, you're getting a summons, and
It's
we're
already done, yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
it's already too late, and you're talking about $1,000 per offense per day. So it could be very, very high.
Exactly.
We've had waste haulers who've been fined $36,000.
Exactly.
You know, and that could put a company out of business.
Absolutely.
And
That's a big fine.
yeah, it's a big fine. We've had waste haulers go to jail
So
for
really,
long
if there's,
term.
if there's a question on how to rid of something or whatever the question is, they should absolutely reach out to you ahead of
Yes.
time.
Absolutely.
Avoid that, be proactive, and avoid that type of
And we may
situation.
not even have the answers. There's sometimes a resident or a
to.
business will have a question on something that's rare, but we promise to get them an answer. If we don't know, we'll find out. We'll research it and we'll get back to them right away. So we are here to help people with their disposal issues and their waste problems. You know, if a resident has a problem, we can show them. And we have. Jackie's had cases, and a case that you brought to the authority of a resident with a problem. We went out there and we educated them on where you can take all the different recyclables. And when
Get
we
the
showed them,
resources,
yeah,
yeah.
the resources that are available. And when we were done with it, they had very little that needed to be, that had any cost for disposal. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But there are a lot of
Some
issues.
things are out of your control.
Yes.
Certain things. But
Exactly.
Now, the other portion of this, I think, is the daily pickup and the cleanup and your interactions with PennDOT and within the businesses.
Yes, the
besides
litter.
the litter
Yeah.
and all of that. Talk a little bit about that, because I know that's also what people see and what they're wondering, like who's doing
Yeah.
what and who's helping with.
Well,
that.
there is
Please.
nobody that picks litter. I mean, if you think you were going to call up the waste authority, we have a litter team that goes pick. Everyone that works at the authority picks litter, but we do it on a volunteer basis. There's nobody that could pick the streets of Monroe County and afford to do that, because they throw everybody out of office because their taxes are too high. It's just too expensive. So how do we combat that? Well, there's an inmate program that the sheriff's officers do. PennDOT has crews that do it. There's volunteer groups. There's community service groups. The Monroe County Probation Department has a crew that PennDOT funds, actually, to go out and clean streets. With all those things I mentioned, we have a program that we run with the magistrates. The magistrates will run through an ARD program or a community service program where they'll give violators a break if they go out and they pick litter, and they'll give them 20 hours of community service. We'll organize that. We'll take them out and we'll supervise it, and we'll pick litter that way.
Which is a great thing, and we spoke briefly before we started about the concerns here and the difficulty with some of our road systems too, on how dangerous they are
Yes.
and how tight they are. So there's not a lot of room along the sides of the roads, and then you add in some additional distracted driving, which we're struggling with a little
Right.
bit in society.
Right.
So there's always these safety concerns,
Yes.
right?
Well,
as
one of our biggest complaints is Route 80, and we're not responsible. It's a PennDOT responsibility. But here's the problem with Route 80. You can't pick the litter on the side of the road without closing down the lane and having equipment and manpower to close down that lane. Then you close down the lane, now you have traffic congestion, and you have accidents, and there's that safety factor. Very, very difficult to do. PennDOT tries to do it a few times a year. They've worked with the Sheriff's Department to do it, but even the Sheriff's program, it's very expensive to have Sheriff's programs. You know, Sheriff's officers, they have responsibilities to do, and when you take them off their normal responsibilities and put them on a litter detail, now there's something else that's not getting done. And resources are tough in every municipal government. They don't have the money to buy new sheriff's vehicles and new sheriff's salaries. So everybody's struggling. So what we do is we try to make use of volunteers. We have community activists. We'll work with them. We'll schedule cleanups in any community where people want to volunteer. So if you want to volunteer, wasteauthority.com. Give us, call us.
And that's really, a great thing, because people do say, well, how do I get involved, or how do I get a segment of the road, even with the PA Adopt a Highway, so between you, 2 places to call to say, hey, how do I get a group together of volunteers in my area? Maybe you're a part that they travel often to get back and
They
forth.
can call the
house.
Waste Authority 24 hours a day,
There you go.
365 days
You
of
can call
the
the
year.
Waste Authority.
Yes.
Go to our
Yes, you do.
website.
Yes.
Call us on the phone, 570-643-6100.
And the website again is?
Wasteauthority.com.
Waste Authority, nice and easy.
So yeah, very easy. That's why we did it. And we'll provide bags. We'll provide gloves. We'll provide safety vests. We'll provide training on what to do and how to do it. We'll provide for disposal. PennDOT works with us. Keep PA Clean works with us during a 30-day period, and they'll pay for the funding of that thing. So there's ways of getting your roads and your community clean, but we need volunteers. Because no one is really paid to do it.
And I think that,
difficult.
we're going to touch real quickly on one other subject before we have only about 2 minutes left. But if there's 2 things that people watching, recycling. If you're not recycling,
Please
to
do.
start recycling.
Yes, it's in your best
and
interest.
utilize the centers that are
Yes.
free of charge
Yes.
to drop it off at. And the second thing is possibly to get a group together to start to adopt a highway or adopt a roadway to become part of the cleanup that Monroe County desperately
Yes.
needs, as many people to help as possible.
Yes,
But before we close out,
absolutely.
the deer pickup. Unfortunately, we have some deer that are hit because we
Yes.
do have a lot of deer in the area. And you now have this ability and control
Yes.
to help with this. Real
Yes.
quickly, we have about a minute left.
If you see a dead deer on the road, go to the wasteauthority.com, 643-6100, call us. Within 24 hours, we'll collect it. We'll properly dispose of the deer. We took the program over from the county. It saved the county a whole lot of dollars in their budget. We're not a taxpayer funded program. We're funded by fees. Taxpayers don't. No taxes come to the Waste Authority.
Isn't that
So
nice?
it's great. We're an agency. We work very hard at creating some revenues to cover our programs. Recycling covers a lot of it, so we need people to recycle so we can continue to collect the deer and the electronic programs. We're getting close to our
That's
1
right.
million pound of electronics.
Drop off electronics
Yes,
up
the
there
authority
as well.
anytime.
At
Yep,
least, yes.
every
Okay.
day.
A call
And
with any specific questions
right.
regarding that as
Any
well.
kind of waste. Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you
Thank
both
you.
very much for all that you do.
Thank
Jim,
you.
Jackie, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
And I think that we've hopefully helped educate a little bit more on some of the
Yes.
services.
Nice
being
talking
offered as
trash with
well.
you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's always good to talk trash a little bit. I'm State Representative Rosemary Brown. Thank you for watching the Legislative Report. If you have any questions regarding this matter or any state-related matters, please feel free to contact my office. Thank you.